Thanks very much, Cathaoirleach. And I'm glad to welcome Minister Lynch to the House, and I'm pleased that it's her indeed that's taking this question on behalf of the Minister for Health and the Department of Health. I suppose, over the last 2 years we raised many issues in the House, particularly those in relation to social issues and health issues, and none of them, I suppose, in the hierarchy of importance can be put one ahead of another. However, for my own part, I'm absolutely convinced and certain that I have raised nothing more important than this case, and not abusing privilege or protocol of the House, Minister, because it is a matter of public record that I have the permission of the family. I don't want to be speaking around the issue. It does pertain to Michael Malone from Abbeyleix, who for 14 years now.
Sir, you're not allowed to name individuals in the House. You can provide the details to the Minister afterwards.
I take your point, Cathaoirleach, and it's with no disrespect in that regard. The case in point pertains to a man who I suppose I can relate to in a personal capacity, is that he's only 48 years of age, and at my age I regard that as a very young age, and for him to be, if you like, confined to a nursing home for the last 14 years is of itself distressing to me, and indeed to his family. He has a caring and loving family. His siblings do everything possible and everything they can, but both parents are now unfortunately passed away, and he has a rare disorder, Whelan syndrome, which is complicated by a number of other related conditions, and indeed since the age of 23 has been wheelchair bound. And also then another part of it is that he also has deafness and other complications arising out of his condition. But I think, Minister, that you will agree with me that that we have a duty of care and responsibility to our citizens. We do spend a lot of time here and elsewhere talking about depression, social inclusion, independent living, and the importance of people having fulfilled lives insofar as is possible. And in this regard, I'm actually desperately reaching out now, because it's really a last resort that I'm raising the matter on the floor of the Senate. I don't like doing that in relation to individual cases. But the family, unfortunately, have hit a dead end with regard to their interaction and interface with the HSE, who I believe are being obstinate in the extreme to date and taking a poor position, to say the least, in relation to this case. Because it's very clear to me that this man can live a lifelong, a fulfilled life, a life with his peers, and at this stage urgently needs to be transferred to St. Joseph's Special School for the Deaf in Stillorgan, where there is a space, where there is capacity. This has been confirmed by St. Joseph's. It would be an ideal location for him to make a recovery in life, to have an engaging life, to live safely amongst his peers and with a good quality of life and with a good deal of independence. Otherwise, I fear the worst, that his condition will deteriorate and that he will slide back into areas of needing further care and assistance. And really, it's inappropriate, to say the least, that at 48 years of age, this man is now in a nursing home. It's most inappropriate and improper, and I'm hoping, Minister, that you can give me and the family some hope for optimism here in your reply on behalf of the Department and the HSE today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
And thank the Senator for raising this issue. I'm not certain that we can resolve it here today, but I'm sure this won't be the end of it. I know that the Senator is referring to the circumstances of a particular case, and I'm informed that the HSE are in discussions with the individual and family concerned so as to identify the services best suited to his particular needs. At Abbeyleix Community Nursing Home, the individual's medical and nursing needs are supported, and his case is reviewed every 3 months by the local doctor or more regularly if required. The individual's social inclusion in the local community is also facilitated. In early 2013, the family requested the possibility of a transfer from Abbeyleix Community Nursing Home to St. Joseph's Stillorgan. citing its more specialist service and more appropriate age profile. A meeting was facilitated between the individual, his family and local HSE staff to consider the options. There are a number of factors for consideration before any transfer can be progressed. These include clarification of the individual's needs, the availability of necessary resources within the local Midland social care budget allocation, and ongoing discussions between the HSE and St Joseph's House, Stillorgan, as to their future service model in the context of the congregated settings report. Local staff within the HSE continue to engage and be available to the family for liaison and update as to ongoing options for the individual. There has been a strong move by the state over many years to ensure that people with disabilities have choices and options. In response to public policy and investment, the number of people in congregated settings or settings with more than 10 people living together have been declining, and a number of centres have already made arrangements to enable persons with a disability to move to the community. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities also sets out clearly in Article 19 that people with disabilities should be supported to live in the community rather than institutional settings or segregated from the mainstream of the community. In 2011, the Health Service Executive, following extensive consultation and international research, launched a new model of residential supports for people with disabilities. The report, Time to Move On from Congregated Settings, found that, notwithstanding the commitment and initiative of dedicated staff and management, there were a significant number of people still experiencing institutional living conditions where they lacked basic privacy and dignity and lived their lives apart from their communities and families. The report outlines a strategy for community inclusion, which is in line with national and international policy. The HSE proposes to work with agencies such as St Joseph's House over the coming years to deliver this new policy. Decisions on future admissions to St Joseph's House will be made within this context. But could I just reassure the Senator that in the case of this particular individual, that we will contact the HSE in that area, and I'm sure that a solution can be found.
Senator, you have one supplementary question.
And thanks very much, Minister. I'm a little bit heartened once you went off script there, because up until that, it was the standard HSE position, quite frankly, which in my view sets the alarm bells ringing both on behalf of St Joseph's, which would seem to me to be on the way to being phased out. I understand the policy. It would be great if everyone could be cared for in their own home and cared for in a non-institutionalised setting. But with no disrespect to anyone, no one's going to tell me that a nursing home anywhere, no matter how good it is, and it is good in Abbeyleix, it is a good nursing home, but it's no place for the last 14 years for a wheelchair-bound 48-year-old man who has a lot to offer and a lot of living left to do. And you're right about one thing, Minister, this will not be the end of it, because I'm now taking this as a special case, because I will hold the HSE responsible for the neglect of this man if they do not intervene and take heed of your intervention, which I welcome, that your commitment that a solution suitable to this man and his family that can be found. Otherwise, I believe what we're looking at is a life sentence, really, in institutionalised care, which is inappropriate to his condition and his needs, and his entitlement and right to a healthy, long and fruitful life, which can be as independent as possible and with as much fulfilment and growth as possible as desirable. But his condition is declining and regressing due to the inappropriate setting. He needs to be amongst his peers. He needs to be in a setting of special care which can address his condition with regard to the syndrome he has and his deafness. And I am grateful, Minister, as always, for the personal input from yourself and the compassion that you indicate. And I do genuinely urge on you to intervene and to bring forward your own input to this with the HSE, so that this man can look forward to the coming months and weeks and years ahead with some optimism, rather than what I'm saying to you is the level of despair that is now surrounding him with regard to languishing, really, in an inappropriate setting of a nursing home at this young age. Thanks very much, Minister.